Alright, before starting this video, if you're old enough to drink, I want you to take a drink of any type of alcohol whenever I say the word 4chan, because I'm just gonna say you're gonna be needing a quick trip to the hospital with the amount of times I say 4chan.
Do we even know who is this 4chan?
You know, I've already talked about my likings and my passion of creepypasta. I've done tier list videos, I've done discussions of the whole creepypasta as a whole, and even some like small fractions of the creepypasta community. But ever since 2015, the community has been in a downslope. You know, nobody talks about it anymore. And whenever people talk about creepypasta, it's more of them remembering about the good old days of, you know, Jeff the Killer and Slenderman and all this type of things. But right now, looking at creepypasta, it's in a weird sense of purgatory. And the reason is we don't talk about the stories anymore. We mostly talk about the images, the presentation that was given when discussing that creepypasta, you know? When people talk about Ben Drown, they don't talk about the story of the cartridge. We mostly think of that as being a short, stupid story that was added into a pretty popular and creative video of us watching the whole Ben Drown and the playing in the Majora's Mask and being edited, but it was just like a modded version of Majora's Mask, and all these photoshopped versions of Squidward and Ed, Edd and Eddy for the lost media. And when talking about the creepypasta popularity, one thing that helps keep that is the images that were associated with the creepypasta. You know, when you read a creepypasta, you read the story, and then when you get older, you think that that was such a stupid story, why would I believe that? But even when you're an adult, when you have grown that, you see the certain image of, I don't know, the Rake or Jeff the Killer, and you feel uneasy. You feel creeped out, even though you've already been, you know, exposed that this story was fake, and you've grown, but that image is still in your mind. It's still a presence that, even though you've already seen it 100 times, when you go to sleep, that's the image. You know, you close your eyes and you see Jeff the Killer's face. And that's what this video is about. It is me discussing where did these famous images of creepypasta lore come from. All these images that were associated with the creepypasta story and lore were, let's just say, they have their each individual stories that are interesting, you know, appealing, stupid, and sometimes mysterious. So join me in discussing the most infamous creepypasta images and their origin story. I am Ataxia, and enjoy this video. The Rake. The Rake is a creepypasta that is about a human-like creature that stalks and kills people. The first mentions of the Rake is in 4chan's B-board or random around 2005. The post was about creating a new monster. This is when someone creates the idea of the Rake. Pale skin, large mouth, and unhuman-like hands were the concepts being passed around of this creature, finalized with having pale, thin skin with white eyes and having sharp claws looking similar to a Rake, which is why he was dubbed the Rake. Now, a lot of the story surrounding the Rake is his anonymity and his ability of staying hidden before he strikes and kills his prey. The picture tells that perfectly without saying any words or anything surrounding the Rake. You see this image and you think of a weird, pale creature that's hidden around and stalking, roaming around the woods, striking its next victim. So where did this image come from? Well, a lot of people have posted that the Rake is a real creature. You know, a lot of people said it's like the chupacabra, that maybe people are just confusing the Rake from the chupacabra, an actual urban legend that's been passed around for centuries. Maybe people have confused that. You know, around 2010, people have written stories of the Rake, and is popular right now in the Roblox and Minecraft community for some reason. But you know, where did this image come from? You know, at one point it was even in the news. You know, the news have talked about the image of the Rake and this creepy monster lurking around our city.
His friend found at a hunting camp in Berwick. I really don't even know what that is. The guy who sent it in didn't want us to mention his name, but tells us this is totally for real. He says last weekend his friend's family found one of their hunting camps destroyed, but the SIM card was still there, and so was this crazy image.
Well, to burst your guys' bubble, the image is fake. It's actually a creature called Grim from the Resistance game, and if you look, they're real similar, and Resistance 3 was released in 2011, right around the time the Rake story was at its biggest. So my theory is that maybe someone got a template, you know, some type of monster Grim from the Resistance game, put that in some sort of wood forest and edited it out to make it more interesting, and that's when they probably put it up on the internet, put it on 4chan, and then even put it on the news where these ladies were talking about it. So that's my theory on the matter. But you know, the real theory, the real truth about the Rake is that the government is trying to hide the Rake from us because it's SmileDog.jpg. SmileDog or Smile.jpg is a creepypasta of a smiling dog where if you look at the image, the person will go mad, kill themselves. Now, it was rumored that it was in 4chan's X Paranormal board in 2008. It was attached with an image of a Polaroid picture of a smiling dog with some blood-stained fingerprints in the Polaroid picture. Siberian Husky gained popularity in 2010, like all the creepypastas at the time, and with a new, crispier version of the image, the story was able to get even more popular. But as you know, the image is fake. And well, Ataxia, how can you explain that this image is fake? What if it is actually real? What if it's an image that if you look at it really closely, you know, you get mad, you get yourself in a bad mental state, and you go insane, and you start thinking all of these negative thoughts? Well, first of all, that's a placebo effect that you're installing in your mind, and second of all, an image can't do that. And well, it's easy because, well, just showed you guys the image right now, and you guys seem fine for the most part. So the image is fake. It's just an image of a Siberian Husky being edited with the human-like smile, and of course having a weird background. And as for this deep fried meme version, it's the same thing, just, you know, freaking put it in a fryer and made it even more scary and more hyper realistic, as the creepypasta community would say. So yes, this Siberian Husky image is fake, and honestly this looks more like a deep fried meme, you know, with like the Lord Farquaad Markiplier meme, if you remember that. The Russian sleep experiment. In the 1940s, Russian scientists took 5 test subjects and tested the subjects in what would be a sleep experiment on trying to find out what will happen if the human body doesn't go to sleep for 30 days. This caused a series of agonizing and torturous days for the subjects, only for the 30 days for them to pass, and we see the horrific results of the experiment. Now, these 2 images are said to be taken from the experiment, and of course they are both false. Now, I suggest watching Rainbot's video on the Russian sleep experiment images. Actually clearly covers the whole thing, so right now I'm just summarizing the whole video for you guys. So I suggest you to go over to her channel, watch that video, watch all of her other videos because they're all great. She's one of the first creepy channels that I've seen back in the day, but shout out to Rainbot. But for the cliff notes, this image was taken during the 1940s, trying to find out the different types of World War II gas masks for America, UK, France, and Germany. And the second image is a Halloween decoration called Spasm, just edited and filtered to make it more scary. So yeah, this image, the one that caused me a lot of nightmares, and thinking it's an actual human body is nothing but a human decoration for Halloween. So there you go. Hanna-Barbera's Hennicide, or Dolphin.jpg. Now, I first saw this image back in 2017 in a Scare Theater video talking about Hanna-Barbera's Hennicide and the incident that came with it, including the scary image. The name of Hanna-Barbera's Hennicide comes from a Facebook incident where a Facebook profile of that name would harass and disturb multiple users of Facebook with the following account. The main profile has been terminated by Facebook, so there's no longer any threat of what was actually happening. And while they are imposter accounts in Facebook, the main thing that intrigued a lot of people was of the image itself. Where did this image come from? It's scary, it's spooky, and I'm shitting my pants right now. Now, Scare Theater in the actual video discussed on where the possible origins of the image has arrived from. He first reverse searched the image and found out that it was in a creepypasta called Gurgles and Bugman, but after reading the story, there is no correlation whatsoever. So my theory is that the author just used that image because it looked creepy, and of course people believed it and made it even popular than it is. But when YouTuber Adrian Gasly has made a really popular video discussing on where this image comes from. He tries to put this mystery that he's had ever since he was 13 to rest, and well, it garnered a lot of attention because it had a title similar to one of Blame It on Jorge's videos. In that video specifically, he made an update where he found out from another YouTuber who talks about Japanese urban legends and internet mysteries that this image comes from this picture right here. It's another creepy doll, which first of all, the picture, even without all the extra, it's already scary, so I don't know what the whole point of it is, but apparently it's an edited picture of some Japanese doll that was posted on 2chan. Also, fun fact, it was actually called Dolphin.jpg. I called it a Hanna-Barbera site because that was the first time that I've heard of this image, that I've seen the image, and it was of course in the Scare Theater video, so I thought it was, connected with the story of a Hanna-Barbera site. But if you search Dolphin.jpg, you'll get more information about the image itself. So, and of course fan art, and there are some that are good and some that are, typical creepypasta fan art. And speaking of creepypasta fan art, Jeff the Killer. Okay, now let's first start talking about Jeff the Killer with the story. The story is garbage, and I mean it's garbage, and I mean that in the worst way possible. The story is utter garbage. It is cheap. It's cheap. It's a fan fiction of whatever, some kid that's, I don't know, 13 years old and probably had an argument with its parents. It's a Wattpad fan fiction that surprisingly got famous, probably because of the majority of the fans of creepypasta were under the age of 15. But one thing that's important about Jeff the Killer is the image itself. It's hilarious that the image of Jeff the Killer is more popular than the story, but that's the internet for you, and I like that. I like that a lot. So I first want to give a shout out to the Jeff the Killer image Reddit that discusses all the information that was gathered about the Jeff the Killer image from the beginning to the end. Right now they are still searching, and you can join their Discord and their Reddit. It's free, of course. So if you want to contribute to the findings or want to know more about the findings, because right now I'm gonna give you guys the short and sweet explanation of what they found, you can go, I'll leave a link in the description if you guys want. Damn, Jeff the Killer is already affecting me. My throat's starting to hurt, which is a bad sign. But nevertheless, in 2015, after the popularity of creepypasta has basically declined because of a variety of reasons actually, there was one thing that still was a mystery, and that was where did the image of Jeff the Killer comes from. The first theory that we actually got of the Jeff the Killer image, right now I'll be talking about the ones that have been disproven, and then I'll go to the modern ones that are probably the most realistic and probable of the theories that the Reddit and the community has come up with. So the first one is the Katie Robinson theory, and the Katie Robinson theory is that somewhere around the 2000s, a woman called Katie Robinson put a picture of herself in 4chan's B-board, which is a huge mistake. I don't know why someone would do that, but anyways, she posted that, and of course, as 4chan would do, they would show her some hospitality, as you could say, and basically berated her, made fun of her, all this. And the brother of Katie Robinson comes up with a thread that says that Katie Robinson was upset with the amount of negativity she got from the picture, and this of course got the brother upset, where in a post he said, "Congratulations 4chan, my sister has died, are you happy?" So that one was the first theory that has come up, but we now know it's fake. The reason because of this is we found out from an interview with Gage that it's unknown. I don't know where the interview is, I haven't found it online, but he interviews a woman called Heather White, who is the picture of the woman in the Katie Robinson image, and we find out that it's fake, and we found out that all the images of Katie Robinson were grabbed from her MySpace account, and the popular image of course was actually in a Christian website where a pastor basically attacks her for unknown reasons. So that disproves that Katie Robinson theory. Another theory comes with a YouTuber called Cesar, who posted a video in 2008 with the Jeff the Killer image, and in an interview with Scare Theater, he talks about how he made the Jeff the Killer image by using a mask with a white latex gloves or something like that, and there was 2 and 3 other pictures that were not used, were lost through time, and this was the most plausible theory that came up for a long time until around 2019-20. Video was discovered called NN Special Broadcast that was posted in 2007, predating Cesar's video in 2008. King Cesar, basically the liar in this situation. He of course had to admit that he found the image online, but was unable to share where he got the image until much later, where we discovered that this image that I'm showing right here, this derpy Jeff the Killer, I would say, was actually the first one, as it shows up in a lot of old Japanese message boards around the early 2000s, predating the original Jeff the Killer image we know from the creepypasta. So we now know that the K. Robinson theory was all a ruse and it was all fabricated for some unknown reason, and that Cesar was lying about creating the Jeff the Killer image. And we now know that the Jeff the Killer image comes from Japan. So that's where the hunt for Jeff the Killer regained its popularity and started the hunt for the actual truth of the Jeff the Killer image. Anyways, after much searching, they found out an account of someone called Mr. Mulholland in Twitter, where he was one of the ones in the message boards using the original Jeff the Killer image, the derpy one I mean. And in those tweets, Mr. Mulholland states that the original image was the derpy Jeff the Killer image, and it was an edited picture of a middle-aged Japanese woman from a live stream. He states that it was some woman in a camera live stream who was really dirty and pale looking, and he took advantage of that picture and was able to edit it with Photoshop, creating the original derpy Jeff the Killer image. So the most plausible theory of how we got the Jeff the Killer image was that Mr. Mulholland was able to get a screenshot of this middle-aged Japanese woman, edit it to create the derpy Jeff the Killer image that was posted all over Japanese websites as a meme. Someone has found the meme and has edited it again to create the original Jeff the Killer image that was with a story, where Cesar probably found it and has put it in his video, and that's where the original author of the creepypasta from 2011 has put that image together with his story to create the urban legend we know as Jeff the Killer. Right now, the investigation is to try to find out where that image of the middle-aged woman came from. There are many theories, pictures, speculations of who this woman might be. But right now, it's safe to say that we know the true origin of Jeff the Killer is that it comes from a middle-aged Japanese woman as a meme from the early 2000s. Not a woman who took away her life because she got bullied by 4chan, or Cesar who created the original Jeff the Killer image, but a meme that's older than the kids who actually believe that Jeff the Killer was a good story. Enough trashing Jeff the Killer. I can do that all day. Thank you guys for watching this video. All the information, the videos, the links will be in the description below. See you lads and gents next time.